Tonight we were shooting a new bunch of video for Performance High, featuring some of the longer-term teachers.
Yeah.
Myself, I think I was right in saying I've worked with or for Performance High for 12 years.
I think so, because you started working with Jaden Carlson.
Right.
When she was like 10 or something.
Right. I mean, it was within the same year that I moved out here.
Oh, that means 14 years then.
Wow, it might be, yeah.
Dang.
So a friend of yours from an acting class that you were in.
Yeah, I took a film acting class for a couple of years, and one of the friends in that class that I connected with a little more was Tyler Cohn, and he's an actor and a film videographer, producer.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we ran into each other because he's in food service as his day job, and he was meeting with the Walnut Room people. And
is that how it happened?
Yeah, and
he's on the commercial side, so like the actual like selling
he's
restaurants and ingredients.
He's not a waiter,
and,
but
yeah,
he's like an account manager for Shamrock Foods.
Right.
So he just texted me. He's like, "Hey, are you? Your studio's around here, right?"
Right.
And I was like, "In fact, I am like probably 100 feet from you right now. I'll come over and say hi."
That's so funny. And
that turned into him offering to do a promo video because he's gotten out of production for a while and he wants to get back into it. So he wants to work up his demo reel and stuff. So
well, and I think this video is going to do it for him because I was so impressed with his, both the video side, but then he was sort of interviewing people, and then it'll get edited together into this promotional video. But man, his questions and his talking and just his poise and guiding people.
Yeah. Well, he's also been an actor as well. Sorry.
Well, no, I know. That, yeah.
So he's been on both sides of the camera, and he really got people talking, and you could see the skill he had in doing that. And he's got some friends in Austin who do they do film production, and apparently they've been getting rid of some of their cheaper gear, which is like extremely expensive cameras, but they're giving them to him because they've got like $250,000 gear and stuff in their production studio in Austin. Yeah. But they're going to be helping edit this thing.
Wow.
They're going to help him out. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. This is pretty amazing. But he also took some voice lessons with me a while back.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I was oddly nervous. I mean, you would think for someone who talks for a living in a certain sense, because this podcast makes so much money. That's my point.
Yeah. This is a big part of your income.
No, I do spend a lot of time talking to people and of course performing in front of people. It was funny to have a little bit of nerves for just a video. Obviously we do this every week, so
yeah. I couldn't tell you were nervous. You did great.
Yeah.
As you always do.
Well, I mean, that's a skill you develop, is the ability to not appear nervous, even if you are.
Yeah.
You keep it to yourself.
Yeah. Well, everyone did so well.
Oh, everyone did.
Everyone
amazing.
Spoke so well, and
you did amazing.
Made me grateful for the people we have gathered.
I was just saying as we pulled up in the driveway, you have gathered a really impressive group of people around you. Yeah. Over the years.
I'm building my little world.
It's something.
So that recording. Speaking of recording, you did the home recording seminar.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Saturday.
The home recording seminar is a half day thing that I've done a bunch of times now for years now, and it kind of is running everybody through, the basics of how to record, mix, master, and release your own music that you've done at home. And we had, I think, 6 people this time, so medium. And it went great.
Good.
Yeah.
Is there any lessons or any surprising moments or light bulb?
Yeah, I mean, I think there were. I did try to do a lot more demonstration type stuff, of like, hey, let me do this wrong, and then let you hear that, and then I'll move over here and do it right. Or vice versa, like, here's me talking on this microphone, just talking, and this sounds fine. Let me talk about bad mic placement. Do you hear, like, what changed when I moved? And I think that really helps people quite a bit. I'm still on the fence. I've talked about it before. I'm a big fundamentals guy. I think the best way to understand how to do something is sort of really understand what's going on with what's happening, that it's not magic, that there just are, like, here's what's happening, if you are aware of and thinking about the fact that when you hear music come out of a speaker, it's because a speaker is pushing forward and then pulling back and pushing forward and pulling back, and then it's pushing air out into the room that then your ears hear as music. If you stay aware of that, that can solve a lot of your recording problems, because you can go like, oh, is something getting in the way of that speaker moving in a way that sends, I mean, there's fundamentals of that, it's like, it's as simple as, here's a great example. Very often, a lot of the lower frequencies that you might hear in a voice or whatever, a lot of what's down there in the sub range, if anybody knows about, sub speakers or whatever, those speakers that make your chairs rumble in the movie theater, a lot of what's down in that range in a vocal recording is garbage. It's air conditioner noise. It's fridge noise you don't realize you hear. It's your feet moving around on the floor. It's just not information that contributes anything to that beautiful vocal sound. But a speaker will try and recreate anything you send to it. So that speaker, it will be less efficient and less clear. And when people talk about things sounding muddy or like there's a blanket over the speaker or whatever, a lot of times it's because that speaker's trying to recreate a bunch of stuff that is just not, or a small speaker like your phone, which could never make those low tones. So if we cut those things, if we understand how that speaker works, we can understand that cutting those things out is going to give us a much clearer sound. Like it just will, So that's a long way of saying I'm stuck between giving people the fundamentals first or jumping into, when we do it again, jumping right into the recording examples and then backing up and then talking about the fundamentals.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I may turn it on its head next time. I mean,
okay.
I may, I've done it the same way 10 or 20 times or something. But
really? Have we run it that many times?
I think we have run it that many times.
Dang.
It's definitely over 10, maybe as much as 20. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I've done it a bunch of times.
Okay.
Did it through the pandemic over Zoom. At least a few times.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea we did it that many times.
Yeah. And I love doing it because, as you guys can guess from what you just had to suffer through, I love nothing more than talking about.
I kind of drifted off a little bit there.
No, I think everyone did. And it's fine. I absolutely love talking and recording. I love talking sound. I love talking gear and stuff. So it's really fun for me to do. It's great that people sign up for it. I would also do it for free because it's just so much fun for me. Shh. I just love talking about that stuff. It's a blast for me. But anyway, so that was Saturday, and then and then we had a crazy windstorm Saturday night.
Yeah.
Starting really Saturday afternoon. Mm-hmm. When I was driving home from the recording seminar, I was definitely getting
pushed around
a little bit on the highway. I mean, nothing to worry about, but still, you could definitely like, ooh.
Yeah, well, our friends Suzanne and Dan down the street, a 50-year-old, not 50 foot, 50, probably bigger than 50 feet spruce.
It's huge.
70-foot spruce.
Yeah.
In their front yard got taken out. A whole bunch of big trees down by the creek path are out.
Yeah.
I think 250,000 people were without power.
Yeah.
Because Xcel Energy turned off power preemptively, so we wouldn't have big fires like the Marshall fires last year,
Right.
or 2 years ago. And not everyone still has power because Braylon was reading the update. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
She was in the room. She was reading the update from Xcel. They have replaced something like 38 downed power poles. Mm-hmm. And I think they replaced like 35,000 feet of power, of transmission wire.
So
this was a huge one.
A huge one. We had around us, reading about it later, apparently where we were got gusts up to 70, 80 miles an hour. There were areas that were getting gusts up to 100 and over.
Yeah.
And one of the big problems with Colorado is, when you get crazy winds like that, that can lead to really aggressive wildfires because that wind is just going to, if something does light on fire, that wind is just going to...
Yeah, it's really dry here, so...
It's gonna, yeah. So, but yeah, tons of people out of power. We went to a lovely neighborhood place, Clancy's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and just shared a meal and had a drink and just checked out a new place we hadn't been before. But boy, we were sitting in the parking lot, and just sitting in the parking lot, some of those gusts of winds were making the car rock. It was wild, and not raining, not snowing, perfectly clear out, just a windstorm.
Yeah.
It was interesting. They, maybe this won't be interesting, but apparently what happens is you get these weather systems coming in, and then the air moving hits the Rocky Mountains and breaks like a wave breaking on a beach.
Oh.
And that's what the gusts are, is exactly like if you were to if they model it, computer model it, and you can see, it looks exactly like a wave. It's a wave that hits the Rockies and it builds up like a wave does, and then it crashes.
Oh, so it's very tumultuous.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what all that wind was this weather system coming in, and then it would just crash down onto, the Denver metro area, just like a wave crashing. But we came through it just fine. We were very, very lucky.
Sure were.
A little bit of a mess in the yard, but not too much to clean up.
Yeah.
Blew some lawn furniture around.
At least our chairs in the front stayed in place this time because we turned them over.
They wound up down the street the last time.
Some nice person returned our Adirondack chairs.
Yeah.
Which had, you could tell by the arms of them that they had skidded all the way down the asphalt, like all the way down the block on their arms.
They
were all sanded down.
Worn down, sanded down. But yeah, and then, Sunday, we were just kind of, you had a gig at church.
Oh, yeah. I had a church gig on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Lots of technical challenges. No one's fault. The fault would be of the last people who use the PA. But, every time we go to this particular so Journey Church has 3 locations in Colorado. They're growing really quickly.
Right.
The one I went to this time was in Parker, and it is in a school. So there's kids, drawings up everywhere. It's a big facility, but
right.
So they bring in everything for the service. They bring in a huge projector screen, huge.
Right.
And they bring in, the entire sound system and all of the curtains that kind of go around the entire space. And I think that system is used by other people during the week, and so. There were a lot of settings that were a little off, and so I couldn't really hear myself in the house. I could hear myself just fine in my ears, but it was weird to not hear myself in the house because I couldn't feel the presence of the bass in the room, and it was quite quiet. So I did ask them to turn it up, and they turned it up a little bit. I mean, it was my gain was cranked.
We talked about that after the gig. It's weird how you. It's oddly almost it's almost not like hearing it, but it's something you get used to, knowing when you're in the house, which means that you're actually in the PA system that the audience is hearing. Yeah. I ran sound at a church that was doing the same thing for about a year in Jacksonville, where it was in this case it was in a movie theater actually.
Oh wow!
But it was the exact same thing where we had to pull the sound system out every morning and hook everything up from scratch. It was
under time pressure. I mean, I feel for those guys. They're volunteers.
It's a lot of work.
And it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But,
how did the playing go?
The playing went great. I had two things that I actually not just one performance goal, but I had two things that I wanted to do. One was, I told you, the little octave slide from like playing da 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 da, you know, for like, I mean, it's so simple and easy, but I've never done it on stage.
Right.
So I did it a couple times. And then the other thing that is not just like a single performance goal, but it's a slight change in orientation that I am now focused on is using my ears and my sense of harmony more than my brain. So, you know, I go in to these gigs and mostly they're new songs that I haven't played before. They're easy. They're just all the same sets of chords, but you know, they're songs that I'm not familiar with off the bat, right? But being contemporary Christian music, they're very predictable in how they feel. And I have been using my brain a little too much. I can just rely on feel. Now, not gonna like, you know, stop thinking entirely, but I was trying to like get a little more in touch with the music by feeling it rather than thinking of it.
Right.
And I did that. There was one song that we ended up doing quite a different arrangement than the reference track that had been provided. And so I messed up in rehearsal. And instead of like letting my eyes scan really quickly, be like, where are we? What are they singing? What chord am I hearing? Instead of like using my eyes in my chart to figure out where we were, I was just like, stop, feel it. You can tell where this thing is going.
Right.
And I didn't figure out where we were on the chart the rest of that run through. I was just like, I can tell what this song wants to do.
Right.
So that was a big win for me. I'm pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, no, that's really great. That is really great. Yeah. That's, boy, talking about technical problems, I had a gig this week. Boy, I don't even know how to get into it.
I saw a picture of you guys because Jonathan sent out...
an email?
An email, yeah. And there were some pictures from your gig.
Yeah.
And... one of the pictures, you guys looked like little Lego people. You guys looked so small.
Yeah.
Like the stuff surrounding you was so big that was my initial frame of reference. And then I saw you guys and I was like, what are those little mini people?
So we were playing in a place called Bounce Empire. Mm-hmm. And it is a 60,000 square foot facility that is all bouncy houses and trampoline games, and you like go in there and you can jump around and all these things, and they have all these different ways you can bounce around and jump around and stuff. And there were people that were there not to see the show, but because they were into the bouncing around thing, and a lot of them were like in gym clothes and apparently like viewing it sort of like an exercise thing, even though it's, you know, they're adult bounce houses, or I guess I shouldn't say adult, but because there's a ton of kids there too. But
they have a bar.
They have a bar, and a lot of the stuff's big enough for adults. It's not just, you know, like, not like an adult getting into like a birthday party bounce house. It's like, it's big. It's this huge facility, and then they have a stage area. And I'm sure they are going to get it worked out. And gosh, you just really appreciate anybody who's trying to have live music. But currently the way they have the system set up is that we had to run our own sound. So they have a very nice sound system and then a very nice mixing board, but no way to connect the stage to the mixing board. So we had to bring our own mixing board and run that on stage and then run the mixed signal to their mixing boards, which you would think, hey, 2 mixing boards, twice the mix, right?
Twice the mix. What does it mean to have more mix?
It just twice gooder. 2 mixing boards, two times better. It actually does not work that way. You don't want to run one mixing board into another mixing board. You get a lot of gain structure issues. Boy, I got to tell you, I was sweating. A lot of it fell on me. We did hire a young guy to run sound. But a lot of the setup came down to me just because it was our board that we were using, and I had to drop the input lists and the monitor lists and all the things, and then I was just running around like crazy. Like, I smelled so bad. I don't know why. I don't normally smell that bad when I get sweaty. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But anxiety sweat,
That's the worst.
somehow it's so much worse. And I got there at 4:00, and we were supposed to start playing at 7, and I think I had us ready to play by 6:45. So it's close to 3 hours of running around.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Vic loaned us some cables, which was a lifesaver, but at the same time, we had some bad cable issues. We had some issues with their system where we just couldn't figure out for a while, like one side of it wasn't working, and then it started working, and I was just like,
Don't touch anything.
I told Sean, the person who was helping us running sound, I was like, who cares why it's working now? It's working. So he's like, but the only one side of the meter is coming up. On the meters, there's nothing on and it was like, who cares?
What kind of weird wiring could that possibly even... Do you think they've split one side out?
I really don't know, but like by the time we got there, it was like, we don't have time to figure out why.
Yeah.
Just go, 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 go. And the show came off fine. It came off great. It was a small but enthusiastic crowd, but whoo boy, technical stuff.
Yeah.
I don't run live sound all that much anymore, but that's sort of a little bit of why, man. That can really get you in the weeds, especially when you also have to play. Like if I didn't, so I had to reset real fast and be like, all right,
yeah,
now I'm not thinking sound. Now I'm gonna think playing. So, I guess a week of technical issues.
I'll tell you a technical, advantage?
Yeah?
Yeah. For our book. So I
Right.
investigated.
Okay.
Yeah, I investigated book writing software last week, and I picked one. It's called Atticus, and it is not free, but it's not expensive. And basically, you could write a book in Pages or in Google Documents like we've started, but we have a lot of formatting ideas that we want in this book. It's not going to just be like a novel, like straight up and down words. I plan to have a lot of visual interest, and so I wanted something with more formatting capabilities. And I imported the book into Atticus and started working on it, and my level of writing increased. Like the professional level of my writing increased because it started looking like a book.
Right.
It was crazy. Like, I tend to put all caps on words here and there for emphasis. But looking at it like a published book, I was like, that's wrong.
Nope.
I mean, I know that's wrong, but
right, but
we
still.
we get casual in text and even in emails, and seeing it laid out
Sure.
like chapters with like a big first letter and half of the page is blank and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it looks real now. And it inspired me to write much more. So I've been working on the book a lot more than I have been recently, really fleshing it out, which is fun. And I also did a little research on how long a book should be.
Right.
Like, there's different expectations for length of books, depending on whether they're romantic fiction or self-help or historical novel.
Sure.
There's just like kind of standards. Now, of course, if we're self-publishing, as we probably are, you can do whatever you want. But to make it, like, I want to aim for what's standard. I want it to be a real book.
Right.
Not just like some vanity project that, like, hey, look, we wrote a book. And so we should be targeting 50,000 words. And we were at about a quarter of that when I imported the book in. But we have a lot of stories to tell to illuminate the points that we have made.
Right.
So I've started filling in some of my stories, and you've got some of yours coming along. So I don't think 50,000 words is going to be too much of a challenge.
No, it's sure not. And gosh, you're right. You were showing me some of that you've been working on in the book software, and boy, does it change so much to see it
Yeah.
in some sort of, and as you said, you just picked a theme and maybe it'll,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, I just picked a default. I haven't even gotten into customizing it.
Right, but just seeing it laid out rather than just in a word processor or document
Yeah.
is night and day different.
Oh gosh, and it's so much easier to move the sections around too, rather than in a Google Doc where
right.
you're like trying to copy and paste an entire chapter, which is a lot of text. You can just in Atticus, you can just drag the chapter to the previous chapter, like just move stuff around and easily duplicate and delete stuff. And the thing that being able to do that, the technological advantage that gave me was it illuminated a critical hole that we had in the messaging of the book. I won't get into it specifically,
Right,
but like
right.
it was like we had the donut and we didn't fill in the hole. And I told Izzy, my friend Izzy, about this, and she said almost every author does that. She's like, every draft book I've ever read, or every author I've talked to, they write around and around the biggest point of their book.
That is so
And
interesting.
that first draft misses the middle of the donut.
Misses the middle of the, yeah.
But we got it.
Huh.
Thanks to me and my book writing software choice.
Yeah, no, very much thanks to you. And thanks for also drawing the eye there for a minute. No, it really just is like, yeah, I'm excited. The realization of where we need to fill in that spot is just like,
It's just where it's the linchpin point
it's
of
the
the whole
foundation. Yeah.
book. I'm so glad that we found it.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna have to read it to find out.
I guess you will. Gosh, let's go ahead and get this one done because
Yeah.
it is late and it is a Monday.
Yeah.
So, gosh, any takeaways? Anything you want to?
Oh, yeah. A great takeaway is when you're playing music, use your ears. That's a good one, right? That was. I can be very heady. I need to be a little more
I
in the moment, which is what I said I got out of taking the word. What was the word? Enmeshed? No, embedded
embedded.
onto the stage with me.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
the same kind of idea, but it was a little different take on it.
I would say I now that I'm in heavy mix mode, finishing a couple records, and I'm finding myself very much in that same. My takeaway this week is also on the technical side, mixing records is to use your ears. There's all these, I was telling you, there's all these pieces of information you've heard over years and all these things that are wrong, and you should never, for example, you just can't EQ something that much, or you just shouldn't compress past a certain point, or all these experts that, and their way works for them, great. But I've just been finding myself with so much more freedom to go like, hey, that is an insane move. That's crazy. That should not work. It shouldn't be okay for me to do that. But it's what my ears are telling me needs to be there. Mm-hmm. I just need that amount of aggression out of a sound. And if I need to break all the rules to get there, I'm just getting more and more okay and confident with just going like, well, staying within the lines would be this and this and this. And I'm like, no, I need it to have more energy than that. So I'm going to do what my ears tell me. And I'm starting to do more EQing and stuff. I'm starting to get back to maybe how I worked when I was very early in my career in my 20s and I didn't know anything. And I was just pulling knobs and stuff, and then the more you learn about it, the more you like almost get these barriers to like, oh, I should be doing this, or I should be doing that, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I'm getting more back into the just like, I'm not really paying attention to what I am EQing in a sound. I'm just moving stuff around until I start hearing the thing I want to hear. Mm-hmm. And then rolling with it, and later looking at it and going like, woo, like if I used Logic, and if I used my thinking brain, I would not have done that. But if I just started pushing it around until it sounded the way I wanted, then it sounds the way I wanted. And just getting the freedom to just kind of go, you know what, I got it. I'm just going to use my ears.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, I guess we're both in the same place.
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
we finish each other's sentences.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, we were in the car the other day, and you said something about, I don't know, what to have for dinner. And I was like, I was about to say the exact same thing. We don't even need to talk.
I sometimes am like, why do we even talk? I mean,
We're already thinking the same thing
yeah,
anyway.
it's
All right.
it's a closed system. All right, guys, thank you so much. This week we were sponsored, as always, by Performance High
Voice and Music Studio.
and Clancy's Irish Pub. It's been there for decades. It's crazy. They have unbelievable. It's like a rabbit's warren. They got
Yeah.
They got an attic. They got a basement.
Right.
You just can't even find your way out of the place. It is just a like packed neighborhood.
Yeah.
Local place. If you get a chance to go by there,
Clancy's
absolutely.
Irish Pub.
Clancy's Irish Pub. We appreciate the sponsorship. I appreciate that they like carefully put the cash into envelopes this time instead of the dump truck in the front yard. Like it was a lot of envelopes, but at least it was organized.
All right.
Okay, guys.
See you next
See ya.
week.